Right, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back to this our wonderful time where we just want to take have a look at the New York section, that is the US section as regards the NFP today, and we want to see what the market is going to play out, what actually is going to play out in the market today. And so this analysis is basically for the upcoming US section, and especially by 1:30, where we're going to look at the NFP and the market movement. Okay, and how the market may likely behave in this section. I am no other person but Mr. Shedrack. Okay, I am the forex trader and the market analyst for DB Invest in Nigeria. And in this particular time we're going to spend together, we want to look at the NFP data, analyze the NFP data, and then the possible market outcome that will come up in this section. And I want you to stay put as we look at both the fundamental and then the technical aspect of this particular section. And then we can profile a particular directional bias on what the market will do in this US section. Okay, that is coming up. All right, so straight up without wasting much time, let's dive into the fundamental, because this is going to be a very short or a very brief analysis about the NFP and what we may be expecting. Okay, so we want to briefly look into the fundamental, and in this fundamental, we want to check out some stuff really, because today by 1:30 p.m., we're going to be looking at the average hourly earning, and which is this, and we're also going to look at the non-farm employment change and then the unemployment rate. But we want to do a little analysis rundown for this data as per the average hourly earning, the non-farm employment change, and then the unemployment rate. In this week, some labor data has been released. For instance, the job opening was released, the ADP data was released, and then the unemployment claim was also released. Now, we want to look at the unemployment claim, the job opening, and then the ADP, and then based on those three data that were released, and then use it to at least profile what may actually be in this particular NFP day, and what the NFP may actually look like. Now, if you've been following us, you remember we talked about fundamental analysis and a previous online webinar we took, and then we talk about leading and lagging indicators. And then we say that ADP is a leading indicator to NFP. By that, we mean that ADP, the outcome of the ADP data can give us an insight into the NFP, if the NFP is going to be very positive or is going to be negative. And the outcome of the NFP, so the ADP data this week, was actually negative, okay? And then the job opening this week also that came up wasn't positive at all right? So it was also negative. And then we also have the unemployment claim was also negative, in the sense that, so these three labor data were actually not in favor of the USD. Now, the job openings got to do with the number of job openings for the US citizens. So it was not actually favorable, it was down. And then the unemployment claim increased, which means that a lot of some persons lost their job. So the number of unemployed people was on the rise. And then we also have the ADP data, which is the estimated number of people that were employed, that particular amount dropped. So now looking at these three data, they kind of agree, telling you that the labor sector is not really doing well. So as a result, we, on the basis of logical conclusion, on the basis of these data we have looked at, we may come to the conclusion that if that is the case, then NFP may not be positive. It may not actually favor the US dollars, okay? Based on this data analysis and this data outcome that has come up already earlier this week, okay? And then what we also confirmed to us that the job opening, that the ADP and then the unemployment claim is actually what it is, is the result of the unemployment rate. If unemployment rate also rises, confirming what the JOLT, the unemployment claim, and then the ADP is saying, then that is going to be very bad for the USD. And if this happens, this is also going to foster the idea of the Fed cutting down interest rates. Is that okay? And that which almost every person is expecting, that the Fed would do a interest rate cut. All right, so that is it. So our anticipation based on statistical data, okay, based on the bias that the fundamentals given to us, is that the data, the non-farm payroll today, or non-farm employment change today, may not be positive. Again, if the average hourly earning, this has to do with the salary, okay, let's say it is negative, and then unemployment rate is also negative, even if NFP is positive, it's not going to favor the US dollars. So based on this, we are looking at it this way: if the earnings increase and then the non-farm employment changed is negative, and then the unemployment rate is, say, is on the rise, it is still not going to favor the US dollars. Okay, so so what is our conclusion based on our fundamental data? Is that the data today may not favor. I'm using the word may because the reverse may happen. May not favor the US dollars on the basis of antecedents of previous data, labor data that has been released. Okay, so that is that. Now let's push on further. Now, having understood this, let's go over to the technicals. Okay, let's go over to the technicals to see what will actually play out in the market. Let's see the technicals, and then from there we can begin to profile some things. So first of all, let's look at GBP USD, for instance. Let's push on further. Now, having understood this, let's go over to the technicals. Okay, let's go over to the technicals to see what will actually play out in the market. Let's see the technicals, and then from there we can begin to profile some things. So first of all, let's look at GBP USD, for instance. If you watch very well, for some days now, GU has been on the rise. Okay, G has been on the rise. If the consistency, the labor data and the ISM PMI data that are not favorable to USD made the US dollar to be weakened actually this week. So if you look at the rally here, this in a 1 hour time frame, you will discover that what's it called, this thing is not actually favored. By that I mean the GU is kind of rallying in an upward direction. But okay, but let's look at it. If the NFP comes out positive today, okay, and the salaries, that is the average hourly earning, is also positive. For instance, we're just looking at different variations of how the data may come out, right? Okay, because like as I said, based on antecedents, like our job openings, ADP, unemployment claim, based on these three data, we can look at, okay, probably the NFP may also be negative. But let's say if the NFP is positive, the average hourly earning is also positive, and then we look at it again that the unemployment rate drop, okay, then we are expecting GU, the British, GBP JPY, this GBP JPY, to actually push up, okay, in upward, that is going further in an upward direction. All right, so that is that. Now, but if the reverse is the case, that NFP is negative, as we are already, our bias, our sentiment is that it's going to come out negative based on the antecedent data that have been released previously, pointing out to us that it is actually bad for the US dollar, the labor data. So if that is the case, if it comes out negative, then we are expecting a drop in GBP JPY down. So I'm expecting GBP JPY to drop to come and retest this trend line. If it does, and then probably break it and then come down to test on this demand zone. okay, which is a support level at a price level of 201.746. And of course, you agree with me that GPJPY has been on a very serious rally in a buy direction. Okay, so let's see what we come up in this data, statistical data for the NFP today. So if the NFP is positive, average hourly earning positive, and unemployment rate probably is kept is neutral or a slightly positive, then we are expecting a further movement upward in the buy direction. But if the opposite is the case, then we are expecting a drop in GBP JPY. Okay, so we expect GBP JPY to come and retest this our trend line and possibly could break it down and then retest our support level. But if on the flip side, if it doesn't, then we're expecting to shoot up further in a buy direction. Right now, it is at a high that we don't know where JPY is going. It's just heading to, but it's at like it has reached its maximum overbought level. So we're expecting JPY to do some retracement. But let's see what the NFP data will do. And if the NFP data does not favor the US dollar, then we're expecting a sell in JPY. All right, so that's that. Let's see Euro USD, and then we look at what the market will do in case of Euro USD. Is that okay? Yeah, for Euro USD, let's see what the market will do there. Okay, so for Euro USD, looking at what we are having here in our chart, let's see what the market is doing. You could see that currently speaking, Euro USD is at a supply zone, okay, which normally in a layman's this will say is a resistance point. Okay, this where it is. So normally based on normal price action, we are expecting a retracement down to come and retest this particular trend line, okay, support trend line here, and then push on further. But now we are looking at it this way. Assuming the NFP is positive, all right, so such that it strengthens the US dollar. This is a very critical point. We had Euro USD is. We are expecting Euro USD to push down, okay, if the NFP comes up positive such that the US dollar is strengthening, to push down to come and retest this level at a price level of 1.07806, okay, here, and then pushing, if it breaks this our trend line support, we push down to the next price level, okay, of 1.07220 here, and then probably to come and test this demand zone at D2 1.06762. Okay, but that is the case if we're anticipating that the NFP comes to positive. But based on the data that have been released, we are of the bias that it is not going to favor the US dollar. So in that case, we are expecting a further rise in Euro USD up down to the next supply zone at a price level of 1.08981, supply zone X2. So that's what we are anticipating in this particular case scenario for this NFP or the New York section when the NFP data is going to be released. So that's the case for Euro USD we are anticipating. So let's look at the case for GBP USD. Okay, so GBP USD, let's see what the market will likely play out. Okay, and then on that basis, we can do our, now for GBP USD here, you can see that GBP USD has been also on the rise as a result of the weakening of the dollar. All right, and you can see it's still pushing on further. So we are expecting GU to push on. Now, like for instance, our bias in the market is that the NFP is not going to favor the US dollars, but the reverse could also be the case, okay, on the flip side. But we have the strong confidence of the bias is that NFP may not be positive. So if that is true, then we are expecting GU to push further to come and test our supply zone at a price level of 1.2875, okay, and then if possible break it to test this our horizontal, the upper band of our horizontal channel here, okay, and then from there shoot downwards. Okay, so that is the movement we're expecting. But on the flip side, if NFP comes out positive, such that it strengthens the dollar, then we are expecting the pound dollar to drop down to come and test on this our demand zone D3 at a price level of 1.2731. But like as we have said, based on analysis, based on previous data that have been released, okay, the prediction is that the NFP today may not favor the US dollar. So, and as such, we are more of the buyers that GU will still go in the buy direction. Okay, so that is the case for GBP USD. Let's look at the other one. We have looked at GBJPY. We have looked at Euro USD. Okay, so this is GBP USD. So let's look at gold. All right, let's look at gold. XAU USD. Okay, so let's see what gold may likely play out or do in this section. If you look critically, the case of gold has been on, if you look, just watch on the range for quite a while now, all right? You can see the ranging of gold. Is that okay? But at this same time, we could see that gold is giving us a kind of a structure, an ascending structure, all right? And so we are expecting it to push further, and again, maybe retest on this and put. But now, based on our analysis of the fundamental data, if the NFP does not favor the US dollar, then we are expecting gold to push on. And technically speaking, I'm expecting a buy movement in gold, right? So here I'm expecting gold to just tap on this particular supply zone, do a little retracement, and then push on further. But this particular move is going to be supported seamlessly on the premise that the NFP does not favor the US dollar. So if it doesn't favor the US dollar, then the US dollar will be weakened. And then this, our anticipated move, will clearly flew out. Okay. So we are expecting now, based on statistical data, based on the previous labor data that have been released, that is the JOLT, the ADP, and then the, what's it called, the unemployment claim. This data has given us a prelude of an idea that the data today may not, if you observe, I've used the word may not, favor the USD. So if it doesn't, then this particular movement is possible in this new section. Okay, so that is that about the fundamental, sorry, the technical today. So we just briefly look at the GBJPY, we just briefly look at the GBUSD, and then the Euro USD, which we just look at, and now we just look at gold and the possible outcome that we are anticipating or are expecting in this particular section of how the market may play out. On the flip side, if the NFP is positive such that the US dollar is strengthening, then we are expecting gold to do a massive drop again, okay, probably to come and retest our demand zone at a price level of 2280.34, okay? And so that is what we are expecting in this particular case. So let's see how the market will play out. And in this particular case, but as I earlier said, our bias is that the US dollar is going to may be weakened as a result of the poor labor data that have been released early this week. I wish you guys a beautiful day as we anticipate the NFP move. Thank you so very much. See you same time next week. Bye-bye.